So this looks like a big year for comedy. Two comedy giants are returning and releasing specials this year on the amazing platform Netflix, where comedy thrives with such great content like the roast of Tom Brady and Jerry Seinfeld's new movie Unfrosted. No, but seriously, you know when you see something that should have already happened because there's no other way it could have gone? It's inevitable. It's kind of like the Mandela effect in that sense. Well, apparently Ellen DeGeneres is retiring from show business. The entire world thought that after her show was cancelled that she had retired. I guess she never got the memo that middle-aged white women have moved on, as that show has been gone for so long now. It's as old as the pandemic. So who is her audience? She got exposed for being as fake as we all knew she was. She was a piece of shit to her employees, which was fine with the studio for 20-odd years, by the way. But of course, once it's out in the world, they can't stand by it anymore. That's when it becomes bad and they have to take a stance. There's tons of accusations of her being a complete bitch to her employees. Racism, fear, intimidation, cutting their pay, bullying a different staff member each day. The list goes on. She doesn't see that as mean, by the way. She thinks that her behaviour is perfectly normal and reasonable, as she claims in a recent interview, where she doubles down saying she isn't mean while being one of the craziest figures in Hollywood. Her control freak behaviour is basically psychotic, and only someone in Hollywood would think that's normal. The facade is gone, the veil has been lifted, and she's just a piece of shit, so who the fuck actually wants to watch her? I thought that everyone was on the same page about that, so when a story comes out saying that she's retiring, and that she's gonna do one more comedy special beforehand, I'm thinking, what year is this, 2020? And if you thought Hannah Gatsby was bad, you haven't prepared yourself for the level of cringe that's about to hit the planet, and of course it's on Netflix. Where else can you post a shitty comedy special? It doesn't matter that she no longer has an audience, it's not like you need one to get a Netflix special. And this brings us to the biggest showdown of the year. You probably thought that it was going to be Kendrick and Drake, or Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, if that fight ever happens. But no, it's Ellen versus Joe Rogan, who are battling to see who can have the worst special. And she's got some real competition on her hands. If you're unaware, Joe Rogan is also coming out with a comedy special, which is also on Netflix, called Burn the Bridges.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Joe Rogan!
Yeah! Don't get mad at me. You knew why you came here. Woo! Feel that? That's some ride home arguments in the air. Jokes, folks. Just jokes.
His first comedy special since 2018, which was also the last time that Ellen made a special, so it's a pretty good matchup. And if that's anything to go by, this might become an argument about what's worse, cringy and bad or cringy and boring. I see people in comment sections debating if Joe Rogan can fight professional fighters, like could Joe Rogan actually fight Mike Tyson and win, whether it's in his prime or at his current age, even without having a professional record. But I think that they're focusing on the wrong thing here, because that's not Rogan's real competition, and I never realized this before, but his real competition is Ellen DeGeneres. They're about the same height, they've probably got the same reach, and on top of that, he's basically Ellen for guys. Middle-aged women watched Ellen, and middle-aged guys watch Rogan. The way women get invested in these conversations is the way that middle-aged guys are with David Goggins.
Navy SEALs are hard. David Goggins, Jocko Willink, Jocko, run this country! David Goggins, run this country!
And the comedic achievements aren't too far apart, although Ellen stepped away from comedy way before Rogan did. Rogan's recent achievements are getting wasted and embarrassing himself in front of the Kill Tony audience, which is potentially worse than any episode of Ellen is.
He looks like he's like inmate 1 in the unexpected COVID-19 release. Where they sent a bunch of people back out in the streets.
And Tony Hinchcliffe is basically Ellen DeGeneres without the makeup. So we've seen how these two perform together. It's a train wreck where Ellen, comes off looking slightly better. And as an experienced talk show host, she can at least pretend to laugh and act like she understands a joke, something that Rogan is famously unable to do. I mean, look at how he reacted to Harlan Williams taking the piss on his show.
John McCain, remember him? The
Yeah,
politician?
he was a prisoner for years. His shoulders were all Up to the
Yeah, he
end of it,
couldn't
yeah.
put his arms down.
Yeah.
Like he was. I remember I went on a roller coaster with him once, and at the end of it, I was like, "Guy, it's done," and he was still.
That's how crazy Trump is. Trump made fun of him getting caught.
Yeah.
Is my cough button still busted, Jamie, or do you swap that out?
You okay?
It's going to be a
Yeah.
pain in the ass to swap it.
We had a cough button. I don't think that's
There.
enough.
It's working there, yeah.
Do you want to try?
No, it's just phlegm.
Well,
I'm good to go. I don't need celery.
please, friend.
No, thank you.
Why?
I don't have any tapeworms, and I don't enjoy celery.
Well, can't you accept
I like it with
the
peanut
gift?
butter. Do you have any peanut butter? This motherfucker might have peanut butter.
How about a cauliflower?
No, that's not the same thing.
Well, it's got the same letters in it.
No. It doesn't have all of them. It's missing the B.
I thought you liked cauliflower.
No.
Well, now what am I going to do?
Just put it down.
Well,
What were we just talking about before that?
that's as big as any lightning strike you'll see coming out of the sky.
God damn, that's amazing.
Yeah. That looks
look
a
at
lot
all
like
the little-
Dimitri, I got to say.
All the little branches and this is all in slow motion. Look how quick those little branches flicker off in the corners and the sides.
That looks a lot like Dimitri's ultrasound, by the way.
I bet.
Yeah. Just so we're clear. A feather fell off of the bird when it flew out. So check this out.
You say the feather?
Don't get ahead of me. I have a lot of friends in the science community. I know a bunch of Scientologists, and I had them analyze this. Pigeon flew out. Here,
I'm good.
this is a feather from a great auk. Please.
That's okay. Just put it down.
Well, I think you'd like to touch it.
Nope. I'm good.
Now imagine how Ellen would have reacted on her show. I'm sure that there are people who've went on Ellen and trolled her, but I doubt she reacted like this. It wouldn't have even been worth pointing out, but it's because he takes himself so seriously. I mean, isn't he supposed to be a comedian? But you're not allowed to tell jokes on his comedy podcast. Half of the guests are comedians, yet he wants to have serious conversations about things that he barely understands, or he wants to discuss recent UFC fights, and if you haven't seen the recent fights, you may as well not even go on the show. So he does all of this shit, all while simultaneously thinking that Bert Kreischer is funny, and the rest of the Rogan sphere, or the Rogan Six, one of those being the comedic genius that is Brendan Schaub, that he released on the world like a plague, which should be classed as a war crime. I know that Ellen is friends with a war criminal, but as far as I'm aware, she hasn't actually committed a war crime herself. It's one thing to torture your employees, it's an entirely different thing to torture the world with a bunch of mongoloids that want to destroy the world one special at a time. So, unexpectedly, he might actually have the advantage of being worse. I don't know how we're judging this, if you're the winner for being better or worse. I'll work that out after I've watched these specials. So who's going to come out on top as the biggest hack of the year? I guess we'll find out soon. Joe Rogan is up first since his special comes out on August 3rd and Ellen's hasn't got a release date yet. Prepare yourself because this is definitely a moment of the year.